It's February 2nd, 2026. I'm Connor, and this is the Monday Grind. So last week, my goals were to create the item crafting UI. And I'm happy to report that one actually went really well this last week. I think one of the things that was a big improvement for me was doing more with my time tracking and splitting things out in a way that was easier for me to track, but also granular enough for me to really look at how much time I was spending in game development. I think it was about midway through the week, I was feeling like I just wasn't finding any time. I was noticing that more of the hours that I was logging were just going towards school and not actually making games. And that led to me really reflecting upon what I needed to do and how to reprioritize my activities and my time as well. What I've learned is I can get about 2 hours done of work before I start to need a break or just feel a little bit antsy and want to stand up and do something else, which is kind of perfect because it means when I wake up early, I can get those 2 hours, maybe a little bit less, done and feel like I've done something and I can log that against my time. That will start to add up. And if I do that 7 days a week, that's about 14 hours, we'll say, for that whole week. Then if I start adding on a little bit extra time here and there or catch up on the weekends, then I get up to the 20 hours that I'm wanting to do throughout the whole entire week. So really only 2 more 2-hour sessions, I guess, is the way to think about it. Or 3, I should say, because that's 6. And it's really not too bad. Doing it every day, waking up, having that routine, knowing what I'm going to work on, having the game and the code fresh on my mind has been really helping me to move forward. And it's exciting because I play the game and I say, okay, what is it that I want to add? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this was a thing that I need to go and fix. And it's almost like I'm getting into that rhythm of just play the game and make some changes. And it's awesome. I think all that work that I did on the back end to set up the data, figure out how I want to structure some of the different buildings and things like that, it really paid off. And I'm just enjoying the process now. So this upcoming week, what I'd like to do is look at party member equipment management and update the missions. So before I go into why I've picked those goals, what I want to do is demo and show what I was actually able to do in this previous week. So let me open up this and I will need to rerun. And we're going to switch over here. Great. So this is back to our little village scene. And if I go into this view, I think this was there last week, but there's been some changes that I've made where now, if you hover over the items, and this is very inspired by Fantasy Life I, you can see the at least what the recipe is going to cost. And some of these are not up to date. But if I click on these, it'll actually start crafting it. But because I don't have any held items, it's not going to do anything. So I have a little dev command in here. I can just give myself just a handful of resources. And so we'll go ahead and just click some of these one more time around. So we should have about 24 items or so. I close this, and then we go over to the tavern, which is where we'll be managing our party members. And I click on this. Right now, it'll open up the party view that we saw before. But now I just have 2 very simple item slots. It's either a weapon or a tool. And these were the randomized weapons that everybody got. So if I click on a sword, now it'll actually populate down here with the items in my inventory that I crafted that can go into that slot. And so I don't really have anything like saying like, oh, characters can't equip, one of these weapons. They can equip anything. And so what I'm missing though is if I click on this, what I want to do is add it in so that this item will go here, this item will go here, and do a little swap. And that will pretty much bring it to all the stats will change, the characters will get updated, I have inventory management going left and right, and then if I click on this one, now I can give this character a different tool. And you can imagine that these ones are going to be the common weapons, these ones are uncommon, rare, and epic, and then maybe even legendary at some point. But for right now, we only have epic weapons that go up to this purple rarity. I can close out of this, and then I can go back to the overworld node, and then I can go on my way to complete some more missions. And we'll just do this. So that's pretty much the whole loop, and I feel like the game is really shaping up and getting to the point where I'm feeling antsy of wanting to move on to the next thing. And it's not because this game idea isn't good or because I'm at the end of what I think would be a product that is fully playable for, we'll call it 30 minutes. It's really exploring the main systems and getting everything that I wanted to prove done. And I think the big part that's missing is the moment-to-moment gameplay. Every time that I come back to thinking about, okay, well, cool, you have all these stats, you have all these items, and you can click on it, I just come back to, well, when I actually go on a mission, I'm doing all this exploration, but I feel like I'm not actually getting to explore. Like, I see this island, I can click it, I can do all these things, but I want to go into the map. I want to do something on that island. And I need to think about that more. I also think that it would be beneficial for me to make a bunch of different games, because I could easily see it could be a tactics game where you're moving around a grid, trying to explore the space. I could see it where you are an action RPG and you're running around, destroying things and picking up loot. And there's just so much more that I would want it to be that's just not quite there yet. But I'm really looking forward to it because I think that there's so much direction it could go, so much potential, but that's what I want to start exploring in some of these next games, is take something that's a little bit smaller, refine it a lot more, and get a very core gameplay loop, and explore some of those things, and then come back to this one maybe later in the year and see which one works the best, or kind of in my mind, I guess, think about what game would be worthwhile exploring, and maybe I just do even more than one, which would be pretty cool too. So that's where I want to finish up some of the items, just like swapping around, like I mentioned, and then going in and maybe making some of the missions a little bit more clear. So that way, if someone does end up checking it out, playing it, you can kind of get a sense for what I'm trying to achieve, and just craft some items and get a solid loop that's at least entertaining, but maybe is not as well defined as I would like it to be. This is, again, a prototype, but I would say this is a full game, or it's getting close to a full game once I have kind of the main missions done, and then maybe a win state where it's like once you beat that final mission, you get win, you sealed the crystal or something like that. But definitely wouldn't have been possible without all the other systems that I have in place. And leaving this prototype, what I have is a way to design game data on the back end. I have in Blender a way to render pictures and get icons. I have scene management. I have some lightweight menus that I could reuse, and I'm thinking about those systems and how they work, and I can use those as examples. It was really easy once I knew how to structure and size the widgets to get everything to work, and much easier than I did for Puzzle Milk Tea, where I feel like I had something that was working, but it ended up being too complicated because of other requirements that were coming in with multiplayer and things like that. I did not get controller support working on this one, and so that might be one of the ones that I think about coming up in the future, is how do I get that all working, and make it so that it's extendable to something like the Steam API in the future. Other topics that are on my mind are thinking about games as kind of like a job or like a career. And there's the common advice of make small games or make something that you can finish quickly. And that is a trend I think that is becoming even stronger in 2026. So I'm not going to repeat that, but what I am going to do in my newsletter is talk a little bit about starting jobs or entry-level jobs and how that relates to entry-level games. There are some games that are good for building up your skills that will help you become a game developer later down the road. And there are skills that you need to, say, go into an advanced field that you have to start working so that you can get specifically the skills you need for that particular job type. So if you're working a front desk at a law firm, let's say, that might help you learn the kind of clientele that come into that law firm, learn the jargon, be closer to the people who are doing that actual work. But that's going to be very different than if you are mowing lawns for your neighbors or something like that, where you have to go door to door, and that's a very different experience. But both, you're going to learn a schedule, you're going to learn how to talk to customers, you're going to learn professionalism, you're going to learn how to dress for the job and solve a bunch of different problems, and all that's very helpful. But it's preparing you for later if you run a landscaping business and now you're doing more than just mowing the lawns. You're doing all of the vegetation and running irrigation systems and things like that. Or if you actually become a lawyer or a partner in the firm, taking on cases, right? A bunch of different things that come from there. And what I think can happen is that maybe someone has a dream job, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, it's like a lawyer or something. That's the same thing as a dream game. So I'm going to explore that a little bit more in the newsletter. So if that's interested you, it's in the link in the description. But other than that, this upcoming week, I'm going to try to get on my goals, try to get up toward 20 hours. This last week, I was about 12 hours. And I think I can improve. I think that I have a path forward, and it's just a matter of getting the routine, keep it up, and refine the process a little bit more. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.